What is your most valuable lesson that you've had in life? And you touched on it during your speech. So it's
Yeah,
funny that a lot of the questions that we had ended up
I
coming
touched it
from.
right.
Yeah. So
So, I love be more interested than interesting. And because that shows the consistent, persistent, it's consistent every day, persistent without quit, enjoyment of the pursuit of my potential is being interested. And I go on to further say that there's three types of people. Now, I used it in the context of listening in the last speech, but it's really a universal thing. What happens is the universe has everything that we need if we live in a world of more than enough. But we're so busy telling the universe, right?
right.
Or waiting for the universe keeps giving us signs, and we're just waiting. We take the signs, but nope, this is what I'm going to do. I'm in control. Going back to surrender, being more interested than interesting is actually a form of radical humility that I'm trying to learn. I'm going to keep challenging myself and pursuing things so that I can learn more lessons, more miracles, more blessings to get further.
Right. Well, I think what's awesome about it is that it goes back to perspective. It goes back to the pursuit. We can find a point where we can center ourselves to know where we're headed, and a lot of times you talk about the how, the why, the what. A lot of times we have one of those instances and not the others, and we don't know how. And one thing that strummed to me, and which is hard for me, is asking for help. You talked about it big, and I've known that's an issue of mine,
And everyone.
and it is
Still an
and
issue
it's
of
my
mine.
pride, and it's my ego, and egos are so powerful, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have an ego, but if you don't know when your ego is or you don't have it in check, it's detrimental to your growth. And I think what's awesome about the mindset you have is that it almost puts you in a perspective of I'm a beginner every day when you check your ego. Like
Yeah.
I'm a beginner every morning. I wake up.
I
I'm
love
a
that.
beginner.
Yeah.
So and that's what
That's your norm, right? So I'm starting at this point,
right,
and I'm looking for progress,
right.
a higher self.
So I've got a question for you. So with being with having a lot of millennials and having a lot of employees under you, you being at the top in sports, I've seen people that get to the top and it kind of fizzles off. How do you keep yourself sharp? What's an advice to keep yourself sharp? Because I think that reminders and keeping where you're headed in your mind at all times is valuable. So how do you keep yourself sharp?
It's being of those two questions, right? Being of service and asking for help. The one thing that's interesting about having so many younger people below me and being on the top is that I kind of inversed the philosophy that I now have more people to work for, right? And so what keeps me at the top and elevates me is elevating others. So although my biggest challenge is hypocrisy. As you become more of an icon and more stature and awareness about you, and people like to blow smoke up you and give you compliments. To me, I'm human, and so I'm constantly trying to elevate others. I'm doing my best, but when I'm not at my best, it becomes a lot more disturbing to me, because I feel like a hypocrite. Oh, you tell people, to do this, and you just, you let my ego get in the way, and because I was hungry, right? People have heard of hunger before.
Yeah.
That's one of my nemesises, right? I have people around me to try to counteract it to make sure I'm being fed, but walk outside at 4. I wake up at 4. Walk outside at 4 in the morning and not see your 17-year-old daughter's car. And then when she walks in, try to be the person that you're teaching people to be. Oh, go back to center.
Yeah.
Go back to center. Really? Because I lost my mind.
But we're not perfect.
Right.
That's the thing with the radical humility is that we're not perfect, and we're just shedding light on that. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
We all
We
have
can
our
pursue
faults.
it. We can pursue it.
Yeah.
See how close we can come, how quickly we can get back to
And we
center.
should.
Yeah.
We should pursue it.
Pursue, and I find that perfection in trying to help other people and having, I think the gift that I've learned over the last decade is just having the gift to trust the fact that I'm in receivership. By being of service and asking for help, I know this is really simple, this idea of appreciation. I'm grateful for everything I have, but I also appreciate it. And the only way to appreciate what I truly have is to add value to it and give it away. And I know this sounds trite and it sounds boring or basic, but if more people would have faith in that and live in a world of more than enough and get into the state of receivership, you're going to have so much come through you, you're not going to have time
Right.
for all that you're receiving. It's literally a problem.
We forget about the smallest. Like I think the detail between goods and great is the smallest little detail, and a lot of times that's the
Subtleties of
fundamental.
success.
Yeah, it's the fundamentals that seem so small, or like you said, that are talked about all the time but aren't practiced, or the difference between good and great.
Yeah, I call them subtleties of success, and many people can call it anal retentive or obsessive. Not me. I want, and I did it last night to my media guy, right? Where I'm supposed to get a copy of everything that's being, my videos, and I was like, hey, sarcastic on the way out. Didn't get a phone call. Didn't get this, right? And meanwhile, like they're real tiny nitpicking
Right.
things, but they make a difference.